I just wanted to show you the backpack. And the paper that we used was the Golden Coast by Prima. It's a new release. It just came out in the last month, I think. And so that's the paper that I used. Really pretty. This is the front. This is, I decided to use Velcro. My magnets on the other backpack that I created, it wanted to, the lid, this top flap to close, it wanted to sit a little bit crooked and it irritated me, so I went ahead and chose to do Velcro. That way I can decide where I want it and it will stick, you know, with the Velcro. So that's what the top looks like from a top view. And the front, the bottom, of course the back with our straps. Here's the side with that pretty collage paper. And the other side with our pocket. And so now we will have a tutorial of how I put the backpack together, and I will also give you the measurements. So if you don't have a Cricut, you can create this by hand. Pink, 110-pound cardstock. Other colors are your decorative paper, and the yellow is your acetate. And I did label, so this is like your front top cover flap, and this is your little pocket flap. The sides to your backpack, side pocket, front pocket, straps, your bottom piece. The score lines, as you can see, are already on there. And here's your front and back. So all you need to do is put the paper in that you want and cut it out. So these are the front and back pieces, and they are the same. And the C is for cardstock and the D is for decorative paper. So the cardstock is at 6.5 by 7.5. And the decorative paper is at 6 1/4 by 7 1/4. And then you will glue this piece to this piece, and you will have a little border all the way around. And I did cut my pieces out with my Cricut, so these are what I've measured. For those of you who don't use a Cricut or don't have one, you can make this by hand, okay? Oh, and I was inspired by Mixed Up Crafts. Forgot to say that earlier. So glue these two pieces together, then they'll be ready when we start putting it together. And these are our side pieces. They are 4 by 8 inches for the cardstock, and you're going to score at 3/8 of an inch on 3 sides. So we've done that. We've scored around our 3/8 inch at 3 sides, and then we are going to mark this 2 inches from the bottom. And I think I have one that I marked. I did the back side so I wouldn't mess up the outside. So I've come up about 2 inches and just put a little pencil mark there. And then I'm going to score directly down the center of this to that pencil mark. So then you're just going to score down 2 inches till you reach that pencil mark. And then what you can do is take a ruler or a bone folder and line the end up with the middle score mark and the corner of the paper, and then just fold it. So on this side and the other side, that way when we get our side together, our backpack will close up kind of like a paper bag. I'll show you here on this one. See, well, you can't really see it with the pocket, sorry, but you can see how it folds in this nice and neat. Okay, so those are the 2 side pieces. And then we have our decorative paper, which is 2 7/8 by 7.5 inches tall. And we are going to first we're going to mark about 1.5 inches up and put a little line in the center, and then we will score at, let's see, this is actually coming out at 1 3/8, not 1.5 on my scoreboard. So we're going to score down the middle till we get to that pencil mark. And then I think the ruler does work a little bit better. And we're just going to put it there where that score mark is, come down to the corner, and then just fold this up. And like I said, I cut this out on my Cricut, so it did all the work for me, but you can do this by hand. So then when we go to glue this on here, we just want to line everything up. And it should be really close to your score marks and adhere that. So I've got them lined up here at the bottom and at the top, and then you've got your little border for your cardstock. So then you're going to glue those two together, your sides. And then the bottom piece of cardstock is 4 by 6.5, and you're going to score at 3/8 of an inch on both long sides. And the decorative paper is 2 7/8 by 6 1/4. I messed up a little bit there, had to scribble. And then we'll glue this to the bottom, and we'll have a nice pink edge all the way around. And for the front pocket, the cardstock is 3.5 by 7.5, and we are going to score at 1/2 an inch on all 3 sides. And that is one problem I had when I designed this. I thought I had 1/2 inch score marks for everything, and apparently I didn't, because some, when I measured them, were coming out at 3/8. So then we're going to put score tape on the 1/2 inch pieces that we scored. The decorative paper is 2 3/4 by 6.5, and we're going to glue it on and just center it so we get a nice border. And the side pocket is 3 3/4 wide by 4 inches tall on the cardstock, and you're going to score 1/2 an inch on all 3 sides. And then you're going to take the decorative paper, which is 3 1/8 by 2.5, and place that in the center and glue it down. And for the front bottom pocket flap, it is 6 3/8 by 1 3/4, and you're going to score it at the 3/8 inch mark the long ways, and then put score tape on the front top there. So this will, when you fold it back, you'll adhere your pocket. And then for your little decorative piece, it's 6 1/8 inches wide by 1 1/8 inches tall. So there's the paper. Feels like a tongue twister. So that's for your bottom pocket. And then the top flap, which closes your bag, the cardstock piece is 6.5 by 4 5/8. And you're going to score at 1/2 an inch and over at 2 inches. And then put score tape at the top on the 1/2 inch. And then see, that's our closure for the top. And then our decorative piece measures 6 1/4 by 4 inches, and we're going to score 1 1/2 inches from the long side. And then that goes on here just to create our flap. And to make it a backpack, we have our straps. And the straps measure for the cardstock. I didn't do the wide part here. I just did straight straps, and they would be 7/8 inches wide by 10 inches for cardstock. So they would just be straight pieces versus this curved here. And then for the decorative, it's 5/8 of an inch by 10 inches. And like I said, I didn't try to even trace or sketch. I just figured if you're doing it by hand, you can do straight straps. That's okay. It's not a big deal. So those are the straps, and you want to just glue those, you know, center them and glue them down. So I'm going to glue my pieces, and then I'll come back and we'll put it together. Okay, I have gotten all of my pieces, the decorative paper glued to the cardstock. So now we are going to take our 2 side pieces, and they measure 4 by 8, and you should have it scored down the middle and then from the outside corner into the middle. I'm just going to go over this one more time since it's a double layer now. That way when we put it together, it will close, you know, nicely. So it kind of goes in like that, like a paper bag. So then just fold it on the score lines. There we go. And let's try to decide which way I want this. I guess it doesn't really matter. And we're going to score our bottom piece. It's the 4 by 6.5 piece. That's just scored on each side at 3/8 an inch. The main thing is we just want everything lining up. And these 3 pieces are all 4 inches wide and scored at 3/8 an inch on each side. So it will make it the same width on all 3 sides of our backpack, because the top will have the flap with the folds. So that's just the main thing when you're making the backpack. If you're doing it by hand, you just want to make sure these 3 pieces are the same and that they're scored in the same place. Okay, let me get my little tool here, and I'm going to go ahead and take off the bottom score tape on the left hand side, and then we're just going to line this up, and I've got my score tape below my score line, and I'm just going to line that up below the score line. And on this pink, it is kind of hard to see, so let me just kind of go like bend it a little bit so I can tell where it's at. And I personally like the name brand score tape when I'm putting something together that needs to hold like a 3D project. I did have some different brand on my backpack, and there was a piece that it was not holding, so I may have to take it apart. I'm not sure yet on the other backpack, or use some liquid glue. I'm just going to fold these up so I can get to this bottom piece and glue it together. And like I said, I'm just going to kind of fold that so I can see it the way the light's hitting. So I'll line the edges up as well as get this below the score line. So I want the edges to meet. Whoops. Let me see here. Yeah. Okay. Gonna talk to myself. And I think I have that all lined up. And now I'm going to push down, and you can use your bone folder and burnish that to get a good seam. So now what I want to do is, I'm trying to remember, because I did my other backpack, it's probably been a good 6 weeks. I'm going to snip with my scissors here. I'm just going to go in, get this pulled back so you can see, and I'm going to snip on the score line, but not up to the 3/8 inch. So I've just snipped here, so when we go to put our front and back piece on, we can fold this up. And I will cut this at a little bit of an angle, and then we can fold it over like so, and that's going to make a nice, whoops, that will make a nice corner. And then we just wanted to trim a little bit off this so it won't stick out past the backpack. Okay, so we'll do one more of those together just to make sure you've got it. It gets confusing when you have all these score lines. So I'm just trimming on this score line here and cutting up to this score line. Don't go past it, because that's our corner. We want it to be neat on the bottom. So we'll just go up to it, and then I'm going to trim a little bit off this corner here. Just miter it. Whoops. Whoops. It was overlapped. So we'll just miter this little bit right here. It's like a double layer there. Okay, so then when we fold this over, and we'll have this piece, and then we'll fold that down, it'll make a nice corner. So I'm going to do this to the other 2, and we're just going to cut on the score line up to that score line, and then trim just a little bit off. And hold on, and I will calm my dogs down. I'm so sorry. Okay, so done the 3rd one, and now we will do the 4th one. Just going to cut on that score line, and then take a little bit off this side here. So we're going to go like that, and then fold that up. But first, I want to go ahead and get one side of the front attached, because it will be so much easier before it is, you know, I don't want to make my base square and then try to put on top. So let's just do this while it's flat. And I'm going to use this for my front piece. And let's see here, I'll turn this around, make it a little bit easier for me to see and reach. So, sure I'm in frame, and I'm not quite in frame. There we go. And so I'm just going to line this. Whoops. Did you see that? I about put the wrong way. So, hold it up here so you can see. So I lining it up at the bottom and along my score line. And that looks really good. Move it up just, oops, sorry. Let's just move it up. I just need to move it up just a hair to get at the top. Make it line up at the top. And honestly, if your top doesn't line up perfectly, we can always trim that off on the sides a little bit. It'll be okay. Nobody will ever know. And then I'm going to take this bottom flap off part way. Let's see here, get my tool. I'm just going to pull this up part way. And then we're just going to fold this over. So I'm just folding it and getting it nice and straight. And then I want to line this front piece up at the bottom. See how I lined it up? And then I want to hold it in place. Get it kind of eyeball everything. And I'm going to go ahead and, sorry, I should have showed you this first. Take this piece and line it up like so. Get it lined up. We'll make sure that's going to fit. It's going to do great, but just that'll hold this piece in place if we go ahead and stick it to this side piece. Okay, and that looks good. And push down here and get what we've got lined up and hold it here. I'm just making sure, kind of running my finger along the bottom to make sure it lines up. Make sure I don't hang over here on this end. Okay. Got it right where I want it, so I'm going to pull that tape. I'm going to push down, and then we've got that part adhered. And now we need to do this side. I'm going to do the same thing. Just going to reach in here. I'll start down here at the bottom. I'm just going to pull this score tape part way, just a couple inches, and then have it sticking out so I can pull on it. When you're doing something like this, you just need to turn it to where you can, you know, kind of get a game plan and start matching it up, the seams. So I'm reaching in and I'm holding it to there, and then I can go along and pull my score tape, kind of holding, you know, I was reaching in and holding that flap, this little flap down, and then pulling the score tape so it wouldn't move and I get a nice straight edge. And that is just something that it takes practice. And the first few times that I tried to do something like this, it was really difficult, but you will learn what works for you and just trial and error. So this time, let's go ahead and adhere these little corners, because this piece, this back piece, we're just going to have to lay it on top. So, let's see. Okay, I thought my score tape wasn't sticking. So we're just going to go ahead and tack that down to there. And I'm going to fold this side back as well as this side. And let's see, try that again. There we go. And then I'm going to fold the bottom down a little bit. So let's just line this up and make sure it's going to fit. You want to make sure you don't have your sides pulled in too far, then your back piece will be hanging over. If you do have a little bit of an area, if it's hanging over, just trim it off even with the sides. It'll be okay. But just try to get it as close as you can. I mean, this is paper. It's hard to be perfect. Nobody's perfect. So we're going to line this up with the bottom. And I'm just kind of making sure my sides are fairly close. I'm going to push down in that corner. I'm going to pull the bottom and just kind of hold it and rub it along as I pull the bottom. Okay, so there's the bottom. And now we'll do a side. And I'm just lining this side up. I'm making sure the side pocket comes out a little bit. And see, this is why you want to have your score tape not on top of the score line. You want it back so it won't show. So I'm just going to hold it there, and then that way you know, the side is even with the back. And then I'm just going to run my finger along and push that down and pull a little bit more. And okay, that's that side. And the back side is easier to put on because the front, you know, it's more sturdy now that we've got the front piece on. So it's help holding the sides in place. We're going to do the same thing with this side. We just want to line it up where that score mark, you can see it right there. Get it a little bit closer. Okay. Whoops, it tore on me. This paper tore, so let me reach, see if I can get in here and get that other little piece off. Okay. Let's go ahead and put on our front pocket. And it is 3.5 by 7.5. And for it, I want to miter the corners. And we're just cutting, like there's the corner right there. We want to cut on the, leave some of that in the middle so we don't have a hole in the bottom of our pocket. And let's go ahead and take off part of this score tape. We'll just fold it back to there. And I'm going to go ahead and peel a little bit of this one up. So when I fold that bottom one back, it'll stay. So we'll fold that up like so. Go like that, and then pull this back some, and just want to make that corner come in like so. So when you fold it over, it won't show. Okay, now we'll take the bottom piece back, and what I'm going to do is, okay, make sure you have your front. That this is the side that you want for the front. I thought the more decorative would be pretty on the back with the straps, so you'd see more of the paper. Left it a little bit neutral and used the different papers for the front. So got the score tape off the bottom, and I want to go ahead and put these up just like so. I probably would be okay because it's not that tall, but it's a little bit insurance that I don't get it all stuck down in the wrong place. Just a little bit with me. So I'm going to line it up with the bottom and center it. Okay, and then this side looks good, so I'm going to go like that. I'm going to reach in there and push it down so it adheres. And I'm going to do the same thing to this side. Here. Okay, so there's the front pocket, like so. And let's go ahead and do the front flap. It's the more thin flap, I can't talk. And let's just take a little bit off, miter a little bit, so it will fit down in. And just make sure when you trim it, you don't go past that score line, because then you would see it with your flap. So once again, just going to peel a little bit back, flip this up. My score tape was a little bit wider. There we go. So you just want to set this down in there and make sure it's centered. And it looks good. That looks pretty good to me. And go ahead and peel that back. There it is. Okay, so there's our first flap. Okay, and let's go ahead and do our side pocket next. And it is 3 3/4 by 4 inches and scored at 1/2 inch on all 3 sides. And I'm going to go ahead and do the same thing. I'm going to miter the corner. And we'll peel the sides here back a little bit so we can fold up the bottom flap. Okay. Whoops. There we go. So I'm just going to take this and kind of fold that, tuck that little piece in, so when I fold it up, it doesn't poke out on the corner. Okay. Push down so it stays, and score tape up and fold my sides back like so, like that, and then we will line this up. Okay. See here, this is not centered. There we go. And then pull these pieces out as well as this piece out. Put it down. And there we go. So there's your side pocket. Okay, like, it's in my trash can here. And now for the top flap. And 6.5 by 4 5/8. And we will score just a little bit. Make sure not to go over the score line or you will see it. Okay. And we'll go ahead and start this, the score tape, up. I'm just going to go like so. Make sure it's centered. And it looks like it's going to close well. It is. And I decided to do Velcro closures on this versus the magnets. When I did the magnets, somehow it was making it close crooked, so I figured the Velcro would be better. Okay, so I'm just going to pull this up and out. Whoa. Grabbed a little bit too soon. Okay, there we go. Okay, so there's our backpack. And for the straps, I just took a bone folder and kind of rounded them like this on the top and the bottom. I like to eyeball things. And just did some on the bottom. Kind of round it so they are rounded when we put it on there. So just kind of going like this. It's hard for me to see if I'm in frame with this new camera holder. Okay, so like that. And I'm just going to glue, hold that down a little bit more. Just going to take some glue here and glue a little bit of this. And I would say let's go in about 1 inch, would be my guess. Raise the lid up there. Just glue that down. And glue this in place. Okay, there's one strap. And we'll do the other one. Not staying. There we go. Just eyeball that. Got a little bit crooked. There we go. And some glue on the bottom piece. Hold this down. Hold this up here so it doesn't come loose. One thing about the art glitter glue, it does grab pretty quick. Yeah, it's grabbing a hold now. Okay, so there it is. And I'll just take some Velcro dots. I'm just going to fold them over to make them meet. Like I said, I did the magnets, and it's like I didn't get it perfectly lined up, so it's a little bit crooked, and it's annoying me, so I figure with the Velcro, it probably won't do that. Hopefully not. So I'm just going to put it here where I want it, and just fold it over and really push to let that glue adhere. And I just got my Velcro dots at the Dollar Tree, and they are really good. I've been very happy with them. Oops. The hardest part, though, is getting it off the paper. It is really sticky. Okay, there we go. Do top piece. Let's get it lined up so it won't be crooked when it's closed. Try not to be anyways. Trying to, whoops. Okay, and it has a little place on the paper so I can put it there. Take this. There. I think that's gonna work. Just need to just scoot it over just a little bit. Okay, now it'll work. And we have our backpack. So I hope you like the tutorial. I need to do the tag and the embellishment book next.